This is an energy reading for the questioner, which was already kind of funny to me. I kind of laughed when your guide showed me that name because your brother, the reading for him, he was called the Seeker, so it's actually kind of similar. Um, but there was also some weird things that were coming in when I was first getting the code name, because even when I get the code name, I am connecting with the person's guides. And it's kind of interesting to me because your brother didn't give me any information about you. This is still a very cold reading, which is how I like it. I don't like to read with a lot of information about the person because it kind of fogs up the reading. But I did ask your brother, is he into this kind of thing at all? Has he delved into this type of thing, or is it kind of new to him and I might have to explain some things? So, obviously I'll let your bro explain anything that you might have questions about. But it was kind of interesting to me because even though maybe you perceive yourself as more normal, not being as into this stuff, your guides don't feel normal at all. This was like it was a very different kind of energy coming in. And well, first they're coming in and I'm just hearing this singing. I was hearing so much singing. It started like a frequency, and I'm hearing this frequency, but then all of a sudden in my head, I'm hearing this singing. At first it started as this audible frequency, but then in my mind, it turned into this singing, and I'm going, okay, that's interesting. And then I felt these distinct energies around me that I haven't really felt before in a reading, and it kind of felt like mermaid, but it felt like something else at the same time that I wasn't quite placing right. And then I don't know if you have any kind of connection to Harry Potter, if you like that at all, or if they were just giving that to me to let me know what it is, because that can be both. Sometimes the person is like, oh my God, I watched that movie the other day, and I think it was just their guides giving it to me. But sometimes it's just the guide communicating with me about it. But that was how they were letting me know that they are mermaids, because I kind of started hearing that the song, the Harry Potter song from the fourth one, where he has the quest that he has to do with the mermaids in the water. And then coming in with the same voice that was used in the movie, the same voice of the mermaid that speaks so kind of harshly. And I don't feel a vibe from them that they would actually speak harshly at all. So again, that was letting me know what they are, but still almost feeling kind of angelic, but not. And then they were coming in with Avalon, and I'm thinking, okay, so you're from Avalon, but you feel like a mermaid. And then they're saying pools of Avalon, and I had to look that up. And all I was coming up with is Avalon Pools Incorporated and crap like that. And I'm like, okay. But then I thought, wait a minute, you mean like water in Avalon? And I've never studied Avalon before at all. So then I looked it up, and it's saying it was an island. Um, so I should probably know that, since I'm into spiritual stuff, but I don't know that. There's so many things, um, there's so many of these things I haven't like looked into. I don't ever look into Avalon or even Lemuria. I don't even know anything about Lemuria. Um, okay, so anyway, so I realized when I looked it up, okay, so Avalon is actually an island. And okay, now a place like Avalon or places that you hear of like this. Some of them, like Atlantis, I believe that they are actually here in the physical. They were covered up by some kind of flood, but I don't know about Avalon. Maybe it was a physical place here, but regardless, I feel like these myths and things, they go back to another realm, like another dimension. And so even if they don't exist here in our physical realm, there is a place like this where there can be beings, there can be guides that can be around you from a place like this. Okay, so that's, letting you know a little bit about the energies coming in from your guides, and also just that, like I said, this is not a normal type reading, because if I was expecting anything, which I've kind of learned not to expect anything, but if I was expecting anything, after your brother said that you weren't really into this, it would have been to have a more like very humanoid guide, or even like human guide, or like angel guide coming in, not something that I've never even read before, some mermaid community from Avalon coming up. I was not expecting that at all. And then they're coming in with this name, the Questioner, and my feet were freezing because it's winter here in Canada, and my feet were really cold, and I couldn't find my socks anywhere. And I was like, "Yeah, well, I have a question. Where the heck are my socks?" And all of a sudden, like the exact location of my socks pops into my head, and I found them right there, which was kind of crazy because like, even though I'm psychic, like even though I'm a medium, I stink at finding things. I can't find things for the life of me. And I try to use my abilities to find things around my house sometimes, and I can never find them that way. I have to look manually like anyone else would have to. Okay, so but your question, you only had one question, which was basically what are your blocks and how can you remove them? That's kind of two questions, but I kind of grouped them into one. Um, so okay, right, surround myself in light. Okay, so I'm gonna surround myself in lights, and then we'll see what else they have to say. Okay, actually, they're surrounding me in the light. They're surrounding me in some positive energy, and that is such a weird energy. Like it's not one that I'm familiar with, is what I mean by that. Um, okay. And normally I surround the person in light, but I see them doing that with you also. When I surround the person in light, like I just visualize it around the picture, and it just helps to prevent anything negative from coming in. It helps me get like a clearer connection with the actual person and with their actual guides versus anything false that would want to come through. So it kind of puts up a protective barrier. Um, and I know I'm letting your brother explain anything, but there's some things that I'm just feeling like, I don't know, it's coming to me to say, so I'm just saying anything that comes to me that I should say. Okay, well, firstly, Firstly, they're just pointing to your head, um, your crown chakra, so the top of your head, and they're just speaking about a practical way of looking at things, which is kind of obvious, um, but they're pointing this out anyway. So now they're also saying that they're pointing to the heart region also, though. Now they're actually saying that you do kind of believe in this kind of thing. You actually do believe in this kind of thing, is what they're saying. Um, okay, but they're saying that the energy hasn't pulled down into the physical in a manifested way. So what they're saying is it's like you haven't, they keep using the word practical, and they're saying it's like you haven't had a practical experience yet where this is deemed true in your mind. So like a see it in order to believe it kind of thing. So you do feel that it's true, they're saying. But they're also saying that the only way to have a manifested experience is to let go of those, to let go of realism almost, and let go of reality in that kind of way. Um, I talk about the reality all the time as being like your true self. And so to me, to me, the weird stuff is the reality, but they don't mean it in that way. They mean it in like society's kind of way. Like reality is more what happens on a regular basis that we're used to, and other things are kind of considered non-reality. But they're saying that you have to, they're saying that you want to have an experience like this. You want to have some kind of confirmation. I don't know why, but they're coming in with the word goal, almost like part of you would, almost like part of you has that as a goal. Part of you would almost, hold on a second here. They're giving me the word aspire too. Almost part of you would look up to having these type of otherworldly experiences. So part of you would want to have them, but you kind of push them aside because they're impractical, because you're not taught them logically, because they're ruled out by science is one thing that they're also saying, and that you have a more scientific mind, and or at least that you think that you do. Now, this is another thing that I was getting when I went in to get the code name. They they were saying that you're not normal. You're really not normal. I mean, and honestly, with these kind of guides, I just um I feel like, sometimes the star seed has an awakening later on, or somebody has an awakening later on, and they appear normal before that, or they perceive themselves in a certain way before some experience that they have, where they start to open up to things and really realize consciously this other way of being is actually who I am, and this is almost the false me, whereas I thought it was the other way around before. Part of the reason they're giving me the word aspire, though, is because it has to do with almost, I want to say, looking up to your brother a bit, I think. That's the energy that they're coming in with, like you would want to be like him or emulate his energy almost in some ways. And so you're willing to look at it if he is, but what they're coming in with is that there's a reason that you have this brother, that you came in with this guy, that you came in with this person, this soul who is into these kind of crazy things. And they're also saying he looks at things in a more artistic way, in a less practical way. But they're saying that you have an artistic mind. You don't have a practical mind. You have a more artistic mind and a more free-flowing mind than you might think that you have even. And they're saying that this comes out in ways that you look at the world and perceive things around you. They're also saying that you want to help, that you can see other people and empathize with them, that empathize with them, and that you look around at the world around you and you see it as bad or lower than it should be in some ways. So you have this part of you that wants to change the world, or that wants to bring about something good. But they're saying that even that is impractical to you. So they're saying that they're almost saying secret thoughts. They're saying, or quiet thoughts. Maybe you've said things to one or two people before in a quiet way, but the way you live your life, they're saying you almost put this behind you a little bit, or under the rug a little bit. But they're saying that it's time for that to come out. Even these simpler things that don't have to do with going off into some other dimension, just thinking of yourself in a different way, that you're more than you thought that you were, that you have more power than you attempted to, they're saying, be before. You have more power to be more than you were attempting to be, than you've been attempting to be. They're saying that a little life isn't meant for you. And they're saying that you might think that that's crazy, that you, it's like you have this, they're giving a for instance here, it's like there's this big light, right? And someone kind of covers it over where you can see part of it shining, because there's this like see-through material over it. And so some is still getting out and it's doing its purpose, it's shining. But if you take this lid off of it, if you take this cloth off of it, then this gauze, which they're saying is an illusion. They're saying, it's see-through material, and so it can't really hold back the light because it's see-through anyway, but it appears to. But as soon as you take off this appearance of having less power or less of a voice, then it comes out more and you realize all that you could be, all the things that you could be doing in the world around you to make the place better. They're saying something about your voice more. And they're saying that you're meant to be heard. And for some reason, I'm even getting some kind of like political activism is an energy that they're coming in with, like actual activism where you take a stance on things to do things to make improvements. And so you actually take this kind of practical nature, these practicalities, this practical source of energy and reality, and you impress it upon the world, moving into this more artistic way of thinking, where it's all inclusive and all inclusive of ideas. Because if you're not including this idea really consciously, like you might be a little bit, like they were saying, you do in your heart, you believe in this awareness and the possibility of these things, and even that there is, even that it is true. Part of you definitely does believe that. But what they're saying is, if you're not incorporating these other experiences, almost meditation in these things, or just consciously believing that they're true or that they could really be true for you, what they're saying is that you limit yourself as a person, you limit yourself in other ways, in other areas, because believing in these type of experiences, it comes from an energy perspective, which means that we hold a current that's more powerful than our physical bodies appear to have. And so this is about coming into your power. But for some reason they're coming in again with political activism. And this energy, like yeah, there are a couple energies that they're pointing out again. So they're coming in with the energy of this activism, especially they're saying political activism. So something that you don't like, that you are inspired to do something about. So that energy again of you wanting to change something, but then also this energy of it's kind of hidden under the rug. So I know that you have thought about this consciously. That's something that's coming in, but that you kind of don't know if it's possible, or you kind of let it go. You don't really think it's possible for you to almost take on the world in this way, or take on like a system or a corporation or whatever it might be. You know, the powers that be kind of thing. How can you take on these other powers that be if you are not allowing your power out and to shine? And they're saying through your whole aura. And they're saying that your spirit body, they're using the word magnified. They're saying that it magnifies everything. And that's where your power comes from. So they're saying that it isn't an outside source, that it's within you, but you're not allowing it out, that you have to allow it out. So they're saying that anything they're saying is possible for you to be and create in your life, and to become a grounded reality. They're coming in with that energy again, like a physical grounded reality. But you have to start thinking of yourself differently. So this isn't just about a metaphysical thing. This, like, even if you never got into this, they don't care about that as much. I feel like they kind of do. Obviously, they would want you to connect with them because they're your guides, and there are experiences that you could have. And again, I was picking up on an energy where, like I was saying, you're not normal, and I do feel that you carry an energy. Your soul carries an energy of somewhere else, not only lifetimes here in this dimension or this earth reality. But there's just saying that you have to think of yourself in a big way. You have to allow anything to be possible to create in your mind. And they're not just talking about some law of attraction new age teaching here where they're talking about $1 million or something. They don't really mean it in that way. I mean, that's possible too, obviously, but that isn't how they mean it. They're not talking about being some rich millionaire or manifesting some really cool car or chicks or something. They're we're talking about an experience that more has to do with your emotions and your soul being expressed outward on the world, your path. Um, like you make it seem smaller than it is. You're going for something that's smaller than what you're meant to be doing, because they're saying that you don't allow yourself to think better. So they're saying that you have to let yourself out of this shell. You have to take the roof off of over yourself, over the top of your head, and your expression, your like your emotional field of awareness that you haven't let out, because it isn't practical. It isn't practical that you could do these things or be who you are or who you're really meant to be. But they're saying that these little inclinations, they're kind of stomped on by these doubts, but they're saying they're not impractical for you to do these things. And they're saying that you're a leader, that you have an authoritative energy. Now they're even, which makes sense actually, because right, they're from Avalon. They're even coming in with that or yeah, they're actually saying that you are from there, that you have had multiple lifetimes in this place, but they're actually saying it as an origin. And it's interesting because, the whole story of Avalon, I don't know a lot about it, but, what they are reminding me of, like King Arthur and his realm, and the sword of Excalibur in the stories. Now, I don't know if that actually happened in that dimension, if there was really a King Arthur or whatever. Like I said, these stories are about somewhere. It doesn't mean that literally the mythology happened in that exact way there, and I don't really believe that necessarily. Um, but just this whole story of how you have this guy, who isn't necessarily great. He's not necessarily a great king or anything, but it's his destiny. It's his birthright to do a certain thing, to be a certain way, to be a certain person with a certain amount of authority, um, over his life and over others, and in the way that he can influence certain other people. He has influence over others. Okay, so they're saying that you have to stop limiting yourself in this way. So they're saying that when the sword comes to you, you need to take it. And they're saying mantle. And I should know what this means. Oh my gosh. I feel like an idiot in some of these readings. They give me all these words that I do not know what they mean, even though I've heard them before. I should know what they mean. Okay. What the heck? Oh, okay. an important role or responsibility that passes from one person to another. Okay, so like they were saying, when the sword passes to you, take it up. So they're saying when the mantle passes to you, to don that. It's also calling it a cloak or a shawl, which is kind of interesting because they were actually saying to take this type of thing off of yourself, to take like this sheet or this gauze off of yourself. But a mantle, it's saying, is also like a cloak. That was more, yeah, I think I've heard of it in that way before. But I'm not, obviously I'm not familiar with this word. But yeah, they're saying, what are you saying? Is okay. The energy from the readings always gets to me after a little bit. Okay. What were you saying? Right. Okay. So this is a different kind of thing though. This is something that they would want you to put on because it's a robe denoting almost your mission or like your designation. Um, but you're designating yourself. So they're saying when these inspirations come, don't like, they're showing me a cloud, almost like don't put a cloud in front of them. Don't just like cover them over or put them under the rug and not really care about them, or just think, no, I can't really do that. I'm not that important, or like I'm smaller than that. I'm smaller than that thing. Because they're saying that this is your life. This is your mission. And they're saying that it's meant to be groundbreaking. It's going to be groundbreaking. So they're saying, to step out of this small way of thinking more about yourself and who you are and what you could be in the future, because you don't know who you could be, or what you could be leading, or what you could be saying to people, or helping them improve. And one energy that was coming in before was almost like speaking, like a speaking energy, almost like, I don't know if it's giving some kind of speech, or just expressing yourself. Okay, but either way, I see you as influencing other people. Yeah, I see you as influencing other people, or even possibly being in front of a large crowd or audience of people where you're actually speaking, you're actually saying something, which, yeah, that makes sense. That's something that that some kind of activist or political activist would be. So they're also showing me like speaking, like you are a speaker, you're speaking authority in some way. Okay, and now they're just coming around me in this circle again. That was another thing I didn't mention before. I don't think they were coming around me in a circle, and it, it feels like this community energy. It's not just like one guide coming through. I had like a female talking, I had a male talking, but I couldn't pinpoint any one person. It just felt like this community of these people standing around and giving this guidance and encouragement. Now they're all kind of clapping, and they're actually kind of patting me on the shoulder, which I sometimes do, um, like almost like thanking me for delivering what they wanted to say. Um, and they're thanking you for listening and incorporating this message into your life. That's something that they're coming in with. They really want you to think practically about yourself and change your vision of what is actually practical for you, because they're saying, why isn't it practical for you or anybody else to do something great. You can't decide who's going to do this or that just based on what on upbringing or religion or authority in some way, or or who your parents are, or what kind of status or life you were born into. You can't It's not decided by those terms at all. And so if someone feels smaller than they are, it doesn't necessarily prove anything. And so it isn't impractical, they're saying, to think in a different way about yourself. And that's really the message that they want to come in with, that you're more than you've thought, and that you should don this mantle when it comes to you, and that you should stop belittling any thoughts of something more that you would want to do in your life experience. If you get those thoughts, then you're on the right path with that. You're on the right track with that, and you should follow those nudges. You should listen to them. They're saying full-heartedly. Okay, so that is the end of the reading, and thank you very much for allowing me to read you. And I really hope that this benefits you, that this helped you in some way on your path. And thank you to your guides as well, of course. Namaste.